Welcome class to today's lesson on slope and using slope formula. The slope formula is used to find the slope between 2 points which are called our x1 and y1, so that's the x and y value of the first point, and x2 and y2, those are the x and y values of the second point. So what the formula is m equals, remember m is used to represent slope, so m equals y2 minus y1 in the numerator, and in the denominator or bottom part of that fraction, it's x2 minus x1. Going back to slope of graphs, we remembered that the top of the slope was the change in the vertical or the change in the up and down of my graph, whereas the denominator is the change in the horizontal, the run, left and right, which are my changes in x values. And it's also important to remember that when we use this formula, or anytime we're working with slope, we should simplify our answers if possible. So directions here are to find the slope between each pair of points. So if we have 2 points, we should label them x1, y1, x2, and y2. Now remember, my formula is m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So how I recommend we start, we put the fraction and we put our minuses on the top and bottom a while. Now y2, I get from the second ordered pair the y value. And in our problem, that was a 3. y1, I get from the y value of the first ordered pair. And that was a 1. x2 is the x value in the second point. In our example, that was a 4. And the x1, that's the x value from the first order pair, that was a 1. So now I'm going to simplify this. 3 minus 1 is 2. And 4 minus 1 is 3. And I have to look if it can be simplified once more. It cannot be simplified any further because 2 over 3 is a fraction in simplest form. So our slope would be a positive 2 over 3. So now I'm going to begin by, again, the slope formula. That's going to be m equals, we're going to subtract the y values on top, x is on the bottom. So let's label our points, x1, y1, x2, and y2. So it's the y2 comes first, that'd be negative 2, minus the y1, which is a 4, over, in our denominator now, the x2, which was a 10, and our x1, which was a negative 2. So now I'm going to simplify this. Negative 2 minus 4, that's negative 6. And 2 minus a negative 2, we have to be careful here because when we subtract a negative number, 2 minuses give us a positive. So 10 minus a negative 2 is the same thing as 10 plus 2, which is 12. And then here I'm left with a negative 6 over 12, which this is an example of one fraction that can be reduced further. because I can divide both the top and bottom by 6, and negative 6 over 12 reduces to negative 1/2. Again, I got that by dividing the top and bottom by 6. Number 3, we'll begin with the m equals, draw the fraction, put the minuses on the top and the bottom, label our points, x1, y1, x2, and y2. So we subtract the y's on top, y2 comes first, so negative 5 minus the y1, which was a 5, x2 minus x1 on the bottom, so that's negative 8 for the x2, and the x1 was that minus 4. We look to simplify the top first. Negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10. Then we simplify the denominator, bottom part. Negative 8 minus a negative 4 gives me negative 4. And then what I'm able to do here, we know that 2 negatives reduce to a positive. And I can reduce this one step further. I can divide both the top and bottom here by 2. And my simplest form answer for slope here would be 5 over 2. In example 4, m equals, draw the fraction, put the minuses in, one on top, one on the bottom, label the points x1, y1, x2, and y2. So subtracting the y's on top, y2 comes first. So I do 4 for y2 minus y1, which is a 0. The bottom of the fraction, the x2, which is a negative 2, minus the x1, which is a 10. We then try to simplify the top and bottom there. So 4 minus 0 is 4. Negative 2 minus 10 is negative 12. And then I can reduce this fraction. I can divide both the top and bottom here by 4. And this fraction reduces to 1 over negative 3. Or we consider this just negative 1/3. Number 5 here, m equals, draw the fraction, put the minuses in. We label our points, x1, y1, x2, and y2. So again, the numerator, subtract the y's. y2 is a 9, minus y1, which is also a 9. Denominator, subtract the x's. x2 is a 3, x1 is a 5. Now I simplify. 9 minus 9 is 0 for the numerator. 3 minus 5 is negative 2 for the denominator. And 0 divided by negative 2, this reduces to a slope of 0. Number 6, m equals, Draw the fraction, put the minuses on top and bottom. Label our x1 and y1. Label our x2 and y2. So the top of the fraction, the numerator, I would be subtracting the 5 and the 8, the y2 minus the y1. And the bottom of the fraction, I'd be subtracting the x's, so the -7, the x2, minus the x1, which was a -7. Here, when I reduce, 5 minus 8 is -3. -7 minus a -7 is 0. And if we try to type this into the calculator with -3 divided by 0, we get an error. That's because our slope here is undefined. Number 7 here, m equals, draw the fraction, put the minuses in, label our point x1, y1, x2, and y2. So here, the top, I would be subtracting the y's, the 3 minus the 9. The x is on the bottom, the 2 minus the -1. This will simplify to 3 minus 9 is -6. 2 minus a -1 is 3. I can divide both the top and bottom here by 3, or you can even just type it in the calculator right away, because we know -6 divided by 3 is -2. Number 8, m equals, draw the fraction, put the minuses in, label our points, x1, y1, x2, y2. So again, numerator top, subtract the y's. y2 comes first. -2 minus 13. Denominator bottom, x2 minus x1, 6 minus -4. We then simplify. -2 minus 13 is -15. 6 minus a -4 for this one is 10. I can divide both 15 and 10 by 5. And what it reduces to is -3 over 2 for my slope. Number 9, m equals, draw the fraction, put the minuses in, label our points, x1, y1, x2, y2. So the top of the fraction, subtract the y's, 5 minus 6. Again, y2 has to come first, that's the 5. 6 is the y1. Bottom, x2 is a 6. x1 is a 5. This simplifies to 5 minus 6, which is -1. 6 minus 5 is 1. And negative 1 divided by 1, that just simplifies to a slope of negative 1. Number 10, m equals, m representing slope. Subtract the y's on top, x is on the bottom. But beforehand, we label our x1 and y1. We label our x2 and our y2. So this will become negative 4 minus a negative 4 on top. And the bottom, 1 minus 9. Negative 4 minus a negative 4 is 0. 1 minus 9 is negative 8. And this one, 0 divided by negative 8 reduces to just 0. Number 11 here, m equals, subtract the y's on top, x is on the bottom, label our points, x1, y1, x2, and y2. So the top of the fraction would be a negative 2 for y2, a negative 9 for y1, a 3 for x2, and a 5 for x1. Simplify, negative 2 minus a negative 9 is 7. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. This is in simplest form, so the slope is 7 over negative 2, or negative 7 over 2. Number 12, m equals, put my fraction, put the minus on top and the bottom, label our points, x1, y1, x2, y2. Subtracting the y's on top, again it's y2 minus y1, so that'd be 8 minus 6. x2 minus x1, 4 minus this 4. We can then simplify. 8 minus 6 is 2. 4 minus 4 is 0. And 2 over 0 is undefined. Again, when we type this into the calculator, we get an error. So the slope, undefined, when the denominator is equal to 0. So this concludes the note part for using the slope formula. Have a great day.